Hi there, I'm Mike McLean, and today I want to talk to you a little bit about using Windows 11 security settings. So to get to those, we get to our Start menu down here, bring that up, find the little gear icon for settings as always, and if I open that up, I'm going to assume it's starting at home. I drop down to Privacy and Security down here, and we're going to be looking at the section that says Windows Security. So a lot of other options on that page, but this is the section we're going to be concerned with today. And if I go up here to this first one, it says Open Windows Security. Down below this are various protection areas. As it turns out, if you open Windows Security, it brings up essentially the same thing. The only thing that's different is down at the bottom, it has a listing for protection history. View your latest protection actions and recommendations, and surprise, I don't have any. So we're going to ignore that and just go in to look at these protection areas. About what you would expect for a security setting. The first one is virus and threat protection, no actions needed. That's always nice to know. So if I look at that, I am running Norton's 360 instead of Microsoft Defender. Microsoft Defender is a fine antivirus, but I like a little something extra myself, so I run that. Now, if you go down below here, though, you see Microsoft Defender antivirus options, and it actually says you can keep using your current provider and have Microsoft Defender antivirus periodically check for threats. So you can turn on periodic scanning, and then Microsoft Defender will run every now and again. I tried this, and it drove Norton Antivirus absolutely crazy. And they said, well, Microsoft says that you can have extra protection, but what this really does is it messes up our antivirus. So yeah, don't turn that on. And that's all there is there for that. That's all we need to look at there. Account protection. Again, no actions needed, which is always nice. If I look at that, first it looks at my Microsoft account, and I have options here to set up Windows Hello. Windows Hello is the Windows 11 systems for logging into your system. There are a number of options. You can use facial recognition, which I really like, but this particular desktop computer is not set up with a camera that will allow you to do facial recognition, so this is unavailable to me. Down below that, I have fingerprint recognition. Again, I don't have a fingerprint reader on this computer, so that's not available to me. What I do have available is a PIN. It recommends that. That's what I'm using on this system. I also could go with a security key, which means a physical USB key that I could insert into a USB slot. And that has my encryption keys on there that would log me in. That is a very secure way of doing it. Probably a bit overkill for most people. Or I can go old school and sign in with the password. Or I can use a picture password, which is something they designed for mobile devices quite some time back. You can put up a picture, and then when you log in, it will show several pictures, and you're supposed to tap on the one that you selected. It's an option, probably not that secure because you only have a limited number of pictures, and it'd probably be pretty easy to try by random until you got one. For additional settings for improved security, only allow Windows Hello sign-in for Microsoft accounts on this device, which is recommended. Well, this computer that I'm using is my desktop, which is in my home. So I'm not too worried about this stuff personally myself. If you're traveling or if other people are around that might have access to this computer, you may want to consider these settings. Myself, I figure if I've got somebody else in my house looking at my computer, I'm probably not going to be that worried about them getting stuff off my computer as I am with them ransacking my house. So I have this stuff turned off for myself. If you've been away, once your Windows require you to sign in again, I've got that turned off. Dynamic lock, automatically lock your device when you're away. Again, I don't have that going. Automatically save my restartable apps. You can have this set up so that you can be working, you can sign off, and then when you sign back in, it'll have everything right where you wanted it. I actually don't care about that. Show account details such as my email address on the sign-in screen. Don't care about that either. I would be reluctant to show my email address to anybody walking by if I were in an office setting, though. And use my sign-in info to automatically finish setting up after an update. I have that turned off as well. I actually don't care. And then finally, lock screen personalization. If I go to that, this is where you could personalize that lock screen if you have the lock screen turned on, or this is what you'll see when you first come on. I've got it set up to use Windows Spotlight, and these are all the defaults. I don't use this much. I go right past the lock screen, so I just left this to defaults. It uses Windows Spotlight. It has these widgets that are running the weather, a watch list, a daily discovery, and sports. And you can customize this if you like. Like I said, I have very few uses for this. And you can set up a screen timeout and a screensaver here. And I get a kick out of that because the screensaver is straight back to probably Windows 7. It is from the old control panel. It has a few of the old screensavers there, not too many of them. So you can set that up there if you like. Okay, now going back, and that actually took us over to the personalization section. So I'm going to go back this way, and that's it for the sign-in options. So I'm going to go back one more. Firewall and network protection. Again, I am using the Norton antivirus and 360, so this is all taken care of by that. Domain network, it's turned on, no action needed. Same with handling my private and public networks. But these are available here. And here are the options that if you're using Windows firewalls by default, then there are control options here that you can use to configure that as you like. App and browser control, again, no actions needed. This gets interesting. Here are some smart app controls. Enhanced protection from untrusted apps. I have that turned off. I had compatibility issues with it, and I just had more trouble than it was worth. You might want to try it, but if it causes any issues, then you can just turn it off again. Reputation-based protection. These settings protect your device from malicious or potentially unwanted apps, files, and websites. I do have those turned on. It uses Microsoft Defender Smart Screen to look for unrecognized apps and files from the web, and Smart Screen for Microsoft Edge, and phishing protection. And it will block potentially unwanted apps. These seem to work fairly well. They don't bother me too much, so I leave that on. Again, I take all the protection I can get as long as it doesn't keep me from actually using some of the programs I use. Exploit protection settings. This is one of the better things that Microsoft came up with Windows 11, is its advanced malware protection. So most of these are the system settings. I leave these by default. I would be reluctant to play with these. I'm not sure what they would do. I could turn them on and see if it affects anything, but I really see no point to messing with it. It seems to work out. And then I can customize for a couple of programs. Here it looks like I can add programs to customize. So probably just want to leave those on their defaults. All right, that's it for that section. Device security, again, no actions needed. And this is another area where you probably want to leave this on default. Core isolation. This prevents attacks from inserting malicious code into high security processes. I keep this turned off because I tried turning it on and it just interfered too much with programs I was trying to run. Would not let me run them. So I have that turned off. Local security authority protection and Microsoft vulnerable driver block list, I leave those on. So those are ways that will help protect against malware. And then it just mentions the security processor. Yes, my processor has a trusted platform module and is running secure boot, which is required to run Windows 11. So yes, this system does have those available. And data encryption. I can encrypt my hard drive from here. Again, this particular computer is my desktop computer. It doesn't leave my house, so I don't have any need for hard drive encryption. So I have that turned off myself. Device performance and health. And this just looks at my system and says, yep, I've got plenty of storage capacity. Don't have any apps and software issues. My Windows Time Service is running. And it mentions fresh start here. Okay, fresh start with a clean and up-to-date installation of Windows. What this will do is reinstall Windows from the cloud and leave your personal files and, as I said, some Windows settings, leave them in place. It's a good way to refresh your system. Ironically, if you go to additional info, that just comes to a web page that talks about what we just saw. If you actually want to do a fresh start, then you need to go to System and Recovery. And here we have options for resetting or refreshing your PC. And we'll have to do another tutorial on that sometime. As it is, I'm going to go back to the Windows and Security, and we only have one thing left, Family Options. This is where you get to set your parental controls. You can you can set it up so your kids can only use their system on a certain block of time, and you can get a weekly activity report of what your kids have been up to on here. Again, this is something I don't use myself. I don't have any kids in the house, so I don't bother with this. All right. And that is the Windows Security section. As I said, there's a bunch of other things here, and we'll have to get into that at some other time. And I hope you found this helpful. Y'all have a good day. Thank you.